Sanbonan. Sanbonan. Namgelegi. A very warm South African welcome to the international speakers and guests who've traveled from afar to join us for this prestigious
in our presence, Mr. Stephen Wozniak, the founder of Apple. We owe a lot to Apple Computer. The machine with which you are working today would never be without the two guys who built the first Apple in their garage. Stephen Wozniak, Steve Jobs, and their Apple Computer Company revolutionized the computing industry, bringing personal computers into the home of tens, then hundreds, thousands, and hundreds of thousands of homes across the world. Stephen Wozniak was the engineer behind it all. A Silicon Valley icon, a philanthropist for the past 3 decades, Steve Wozniak helped shape the computing industry with his design of Apple's first line of products, the Apple I and II, and influenced the popular Macintosh. For his achievements at Apple Computer, Steve was awarded the National Medal of Technology by the President of the United States in 1985, the highest honor bestowed on Americans' leading innovators. In 2000, Steve was inducted into the Inventors Hall of Fame and was awarded the prestigious Heinz Award for Technology. The economy and employment for single-handedly designing the first personal computer and for then redirecting his lifelong passion for mathematics and electronics towards lighting the fires of excitement for education in grade school students. And call on stage, Mr. Stephen Wozniak.
Great privilege to be here. Thanks very much to SITA. Spoke some about silicon technology. We all know that Moore's Law, the fact that we've been able to double every couple of years the number of transistors on a piece of silicon, has brought us such amazing chips in electronics that today we have computers that can do so many things better than we humans could ever do by ourselves. Early programming steps. We had no computer in our school, but we had a great teacher that said education should not be limited to the boundaries of a school. You can get education in the world, and he arranged for me to go down to a company and program a computer. Wow, I was a Superman. I was doing stuff nobody else in our school did or knew what it was. Totally by hand, no books, no teachers. Taught myself to design computers. It was a personal goal. I just wanted to do it for love. I never thought I'd ever have a job doing this. And I started making up a game. And my game was, how can you do the same job with fewer parts? Engineering equals, in my mind, I was a very strong engineer, very math-oriented, top science student and all that at schools. And to me, engineering was facts. It was formulas, and that's truth. And truth is the apex of all good. And that's how I thought. Engineering is the best person in the world is the one that's going to be an engineer. And Steve's goal, it's true. And after he met me, I never saw him be an engineer, design something. But after meeting me, he wouldn't really want to. But his goal though was to be an important person in the world, because he talked about books and stories he'd read, and to have a company. And to have companies that were successful was the way to get there. And to have one product that was successful so you could build a better product, a more expensive one that was successful. And he was also very much, this was in the counterculture days of San Francisco, days known as hippie days and LSD, and I didn't do any of that stuff, but I admired the people who thought out differently, and I couldn't really contradict them with logic, the words that they used to describe their style of life, of sharing the community, whatever. Steve was more one of a true hippie back in those young days, as a lot of young people are. And when I drove him up to his first year of college, I stayed there for the first week, and he showed me a piece of paper. He said, they're telling me I have to take these classes. He didn't like that. He wanted to go to his own choice of classes. He wanted to go attend a Shakespeare class now and then, or a quantum physics class, or whatever was important in the world. You could sit down and write a program, write a set of instructions to solve that problem. Okay, well, a lot of us were programmers, so it sounded important. That's not how computers are today. And we talked about greater education, where a computer could correct students' mistakes. And by that, it would use more of the student's mind. That we grew up using only 10% of our minds, and these new students would use 100%. And I was scared. I was actually scared that these computers that I was going to help develop were going to make the kids smarter than me. I guess that's not everything. And this was a great social revolution, and I was so inspired by helping this change to happen, largely because the big companies of the world didn't see it coming. They said, no, it's not going to be important. It's just going to be a bunch of little hobbyists, like technicians that want to learn how to solder wires. And they didn't believe in it. I wanted to be part of this group that was on top of a revolution. I was a bit of a rebel and proved that it could be done. So I took my technical skills and I modified my little terminal that talked to the faraway computer. I bought a chip to put in, I shopped around, and I could not afford a $400 microprocessor from Intel. That was out of the question. I had a deal at Hewlett-Packard. I could buy a Motorola microprocessor for $40. Good. I always thought the less cost, the better any project is. And then I discovered one I could buy for the newest one of all for $20, and that's the one I bought and used. And I just put that into my own little terminal board, so now I was talking to my own computer, and it was talking to my TV. And this was kind of cool, and then Steve Jobs came back into town. He came down to the Homebrew Computer Club. He saw me showing this off. He saw the interest that people had in such a small computer, all the parts on one little board, including 4K of memory. 4K of memory, enough to run a programming language that I didn't have, so I could actually type in programs like my chess program. I had told my dad that someday I was going to own a 4K Nova mini computer, and he said it cost as much as a house. And I sat there stunned, and then I said, well, I'll live in the...
So basically logging your tweets so we know exactly who's tweeting. We keep cracking. Okay, 5, 4.
Visualization is new. It was there for quite some years. When I started my computer, we had visualization. The only difference is one. Now we have got visualization on steroids. That's why we are concerned as a country. Are we keeping up with the pace?